Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be going through my predictions from the 2022-23 season. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. I probably should apologise because these predictions were horrible. So I'm sorry that you're going to have to sit through this. These are probably the worst predictions on YouTube. But let's just get straight into it, man, because this is going to be painful for me. 20th, I had Bournemouth. I think most people had Bournemouth down there. They ended up finishing 15th. They had a very good run under Gary O'Neill. He came in just weeks into the season, changed everything around. They had just come off a 9-0 defeat to Liverpool. He steadied the ship, playing very good football. They spent a bit of money in January, which to strengthen squad, the likes of Atara did very well, Vineyard did very well. Zabani, the young defender, was also quite good. And obviously Neto. Billing was fairly good. He scored quite a few goals. I think, I didn't expect him to score 7 goals in the end. And Solanke had a bit of a different role in the team. I feel he wasn't the 30 goals a season striker that he was in the Championship last season. He had a more pressing role this time. He was trying to help his teammates get into play. But yeah, I got it wrong. Fair play to Bournemouth. I was happy he stayed up, and hopefully he stay up again next year. Oh God. I had Brentford in 19th. Now, I did say that they would struggle a lot with second season syndrome and whatever. I don't think Tony would be anywhere near as good. I thought they'd struggle a lot more with the loss of Christian Eriksen. And I was wrong. I'm going to hold my hands up. I was completely wrong. They were much better than I thought they would be. Partly because Tony scored 20 goals, but also partly because I underestimated them. And maybe I was blindsided by my hatred for them. They were the only team in the league that did the double over Manchester City. They got some massive results, like a 4-0 win against Manchester United. They got a point away at the Emirates. Very controversially, shouldn't have got that point. They robbed Arsenal, but sometimes it happens. It's unfortunate, and it shouldn't happen, but it does. They beat Liverpool as well. They had some good results against teams. Away at Tottenham, they won. They had some really good results against bigger teams. Yeah, overall, I was not gonna lie, I was quite impressed with them in certain games. The former Riot as well, he made some big saves, some fantastic performances for him that also gave him quite a few points, but yeah, I was completely wrong with that. 18th, I went with Leeds United. We ended up finishing 19th. So one place wrong, I'll take that. Too many Yanks in that squad, man. There's too many Americans. Why? I said Jesse Marsch just weren't good enough. And I was proved right. People saying he saved them last season, he really didn't. The players who came back from injury saved them. If Bielsa was there, Leeds wouldn't have finished this low this season. They would have survived last season a lot more comfortably than they did in the end. And this season, they would have been around 12th or 13th, I think. In the end, they stuck with Marsch for some reason, let him bring in more Americans who Aronson was alright. The other two, maybe Adams was okay. McKennie wasn't very good. None of them even really get sniffed that much now. So clearly, just don't sign the Yanks and leave them to do their own sports. After they sacked Marsch and they brought in Gracia, results actually took a bit of an upturn at the start, and then again they fell away. They brought in Big Sam right at the end, didn't give him enough time really to do anything, and yeah, Leeds I guess got what they deserved, to be honest. In 17th, I went with Wolverhampton Wanderers. They ended up finishing 13th. I just want to say, Wolves, I fucking hate Wolves. I think we all know this already. They're an awful club, awful team. They spend a lot of money every season. They scored 31 goals this season. They scored by far the least in the whole division. Yeah. It's embarrassing. They don't deserve... Without Lopetegui, they would have been bottom of the league gone, man. They're so negative, so boring to watch. Everything about them just pisses me off. And I hope they get relegated next year, man. They were looking like they're going to finish bottom of the league. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Fortunately, they stayed up. But next season, I hope they go down. I really do, man. It's not looking good for me either. They supposedly have no money because they're very constrained by FFP. They've lost Matinho on the free. He didn't play a lot, but he's still a decent player that they've lost. Adama Traore has also been released on a free, different option in that squad that is no longer there. Ruben Neves wants to go play in the Champions League, so he might leave. It's looking good for me, man. It's really looking good for me. In 16th, I went with Nottingham Forest. Bang on the money. They finished 16th. This is my only prediction I actually got bang on. So I'm gonna milk it. I'm gonna milk this, man. This is... I said Jesse Lingard wouldn't be very good. he wasn't very good. I do think signs are positive for Forest. You know, Awoniyi at the end of the season really started firing him in. Gibbs White and Brennan Johnson did take maybe a couple of weeks to get going, but they've been very good the whole season. Obviously, if Awoniyi continues his form into the new season, their attack will be fine. They just need to focus, I think, on the defence. Obviously, losing Navas is going to be huge for them. I don't think they're going to sign him off PSG on a permanent. So they're going to look for a new goalkeeper, because I think Dean Henderson's also gone back to Manchester United, which is surprising because he publicly came out and said that they've held him back and stuff. But yeah, you know, I think Forest, it was a good season for them. They did spend a lot of money, so you probably wouldn't have expected them to go down. I don't think many actually did expect them to go down. But yeah, they've done all right, to be fair. In 15th, I put Fulham, who actually finished in 10th. But this is not a bad prediction, because every other person had them in 20th or 19th or 18th. Like, very few had them outside the bottom three. I was one of very, very few, yeah. And even though I don't like them, I didn't use my hatred to blindside and let it judge my predictions, for them anyway. For some other teams, like maybe Brentford and Wolves, I kind of did. Yeah, you know, I thought Mitrovic would do well in the Premier League, and he has 14 goals when he hasn't played every game. Isn't bad at all. He went through a spell where he was quite bad, but he's looking back on form now. You know, I think a lot of people had this misconception of him that he wouldn't be able to do it in the Prem. When he's previously been in the Prem, he's been mainly a bench player, and this time he actually was able to start a lot more games, and he showed his qualities coming off a 41-goal season in the Championship. I was surprised by them, though. I didn't think they'd be as attacking as they were. In a lot of games, they went on the front foot, and they played very well. And there was full value for their top half finish, so fair play to them. In 14th, I went with Everton, ended up finishing in 17th. To be honest, I don't know why I predicted them this high. Like, their squad ain't very good. They've got a few good players, like obviously Pickford, Onana, and maybe Iwobi put in there as well, and Tarkowski. I don't think anyone else in that squad is very good. Obviously, they set Lampard and brought in Sean Dyche for the end of the season, who, you know, he kept him up. They had lost Richarlison at the start of the season. They lost Gordon. In the January. I don't know why I predicted them so high. A bit of a mistake on my part, I guess. I do think they're probably in a bit of trouble for next season. Can't lie. I think next year might be the year they go. But if they do keep Sean Dyche, they have as good a chance of survival as they can. In 13th, I went with Crystal Palace. I ended up finishing in 11th. Very good end to the season, thanks to the reappointment of Roy Hodgson, who came in. He took Crystal Palace, who were about to enter a relegation scrap, and took them to comfortable mid-table. I don't know what Patrick Vieira was doing. Why would you bench a Bereyeza? He's so good, yeah. And I gave Vieira a lot of credit last season. I thought he did really well, and he did. But he almost undid all of his hard work, and you know, Roy Hodgson came in, did well. I will say Vieira had a lot harder fixtures than Hodgson had, but you can only beat who's in front of you, I guess. Next season could be interesting for Palace. If Zaha leaves, if Eze leaves, don't know who the head coach is going to be either. We'll have to wait and see on them, but I think they definitely ended the season very well, and yeah, you know, roughly where I predicted them, you know, slight couple of places off. But you can already see them, and the amount of Reds here is just not good. And talking about Reds, there's another one here. Southampton are put in 12th, and they're not finishing 20th. If they'd stuck with Ralph, I believe they would have probably got up to 12th or like 14th, something like this. They would have been comfortable and they would have been safe. They sacked him when they were like 16th or 17th for Nathan fucking Jones, who might go down as the worst manager in Premier League history. He did not know what he was doing at all. His press comments were just so stupid as well. He made no sense. And that appointment just got him relegated, to be honest with you. Like, he came in, he won like one match out of 8, and then they brought in Ruben Sayers, I think his name is, who did all right at the start, but then the way that he ended the season was awful. 2 points from the last 10 games. Yeah, it's just not good enough, to be honest. Although those 2 points were against Arsenal and Liverpool, which are pretty respectable results. Yeah, I don't really know why I predicted Southampton to do so well. I guess a part of this is just because they have Adam Armstrong, who I really like, and he just didn't get enough game time. They've also got Ward-Prowse. They've got some good players, but they do have an insanely young squad. And I think in the Premier League, you do need a bit of experience. They didn't have a lot of it. A lot of the young players might leave as well, the likes of Lavia. He's been hit with moves away. But if they can keep this group of players together, they should be able to do very well in the Championship and come straight back up. In 11th, I went with Aston Villa, who ended up finishing in 7th. Again, kind of like Wolves, it was a managerial change which really changed their fortunes. You know, Gerrard was looking like he was having them in a relegation scrap. He was just throwing the players under the bus. Very, you know, stubborn with his tactics. Didn't want to change. Got the sack, and Unai Emery came in and did wonders with the squad. You know, he's got him into the Europa Conference League. He made Watkins a completely different animal. You know, he's made him a proper number 9 now. When they sold Danny Ings, I was a bit surprised, but clearly don't need him anymore. And yeah, you know, Unai Emery has done a really, really good job. He's taken a team who looked like they were heading towards a drop into comfortable mid-table. Again, what a job he's done. Fair play to you. And yeah, it's good to see, you know, a different team in Europe next year. Also, I do just want to say, although so far it's looking very bad, and it is very bad, I did say from 12th to 17th, the maximum points difference there'd be is like 8, and it was 8. All right, I'm going to put the clip in here where I say it. 12th, I'm going to go with Southampton. Now, from 12th to like 17th, it's all a bit of a lottery, you know. There's going to be only a few points in there, maximum maybe 8. I did say maximum of 8, but, you know, let me have something, guys. Look how bad I did. Like, just let me have it, right? Oh, no, in 10th, I put Leicester City. 18th place for Leicester City. Now, hear me out here. I did say in my prediction video that was me assuming that they kept at least 2 of Maddison, Tielemans and Fofana, which they did, to be fair. They only lost Fofana for a lot of money. And I also thought they'd actually bring in a goalkeeper, which they didn't. I said if they didn't replace Kasper Schmeichel, they would finish a lot lower. And they did. But I can't take any credit because I put them in I backed them, bro. I like Leicester. I really like Leicester. I've got a soft spot for them, obviously, when they won the league. I've got family there. So, again, you know, I do like Leicester. But, everything's just gone wrong. Defensive, they were horrific. Absolutely horrific last season. They started with Ward for far too long. You know, Everson isn't a great goalkeeper. He's a lot better than Ward. They should, if they'd started him from the start of the season, they might have survived. And I think they genuinely would have survived. Because Ward cost them so many points early in the season. Wout Faes had some horrible games. You know, the game against Liverpool comes to mind where he scored 2 own goals. You know, they had James Maddison who got 10 goals and 9 assists. They had Harvey Barnes who got 13 Premier League goals. They've had some really good players. Tielemans was awful. You know, I think on the ball he's very good. I definitely overrate them a lot. But on the ball he is very good. Off the ball he's horrendous. He doesn't track back. He doesn't run. He needs to sort his work rate out, man. Because if he wants a top club to come get him, he's got to perform. And I don't know where he's going to go now. He's obviously run down his contract. He's no longer contracted to Leicester City. Maddison and Barnes have both been linked with Tottenham and Newcastle. So we'll see where they end up because they're too good for the Championship. But Leicester should be able to get a lot of money to reinvest into the squad. Hopefully they do it a lot better this time. They sign some defenders and they obviously, you know, get some young players who can perform in the Championship and hopefully for them make the step up to the Premier League if they were to return first time around, which I think they should be able to do, and I'm backing them to do so. In 9th, I went with Brighton, who ended up finishing in 6th. Now, last season, I did predict them in 6th, and they finished, I think they finished 9th, to be honest, so I just got them the wrong way around. Yeah, I didn't expect them to be as good as they were, mainly because they lost Cucurella, they lost Bissouma as well. I think, was there someone else they lost? You know, they lost Trossard in January as well to Arsenal. But they did really well, you know, they replaced them very well, very easily. Colwell came in on loan from Chelsea. Mitoma came in to replace Trossard. They've got all these young players with Ferguson and Ciso, Buonanotte. Very good young core. McAllister was very good. It looks like he'll be leaving. Pascal Gross is very good. On McAllister as well, 70 mil is supposedly the price he's going to Liverpool for. They can, you know, Brighton will reinvest that really well. They've got João Pedro coming in. They've got Mahmoud Dahoud coming in. They're trying to bring Colwell back on permanent, but Chelsea don't want to let him go. No surprise there. He was fantastic. And yeah, you know, I'm really happy to see Brighton in Europe. I really like Brighton. The way they run the club, you know, everything about them is just fantastic. And I hope they go far. In 8th, I went with Newcastle, who ended up finishing in 4th. Round of applause for Eddie Howe, man. Again, I've said this a few times, I think he is the best manager in the Premier League. I'm going to make another video on why I think he is, but, you know, the improvement Newcastle have made, the average players who are performing really well because of how he's coached them. Obviously, the new signings they've made have all gelled in and, you know, really, really well. There's a lot of togetherness at Newcastle, not just in the team, but also with the fans. You know, under Ashley, that wasn't the case. You know, there's a lot of negativity, a big divide between the fans and the players. Eddie Howe's come in, the Saudis have come in, they've bridged everything. Everything's looking really good at Newcastle. Again, I hope they go far in the Champions League. It'd be really cool to see that. It'll be interesting to see what happens next season, because obviously they're going to have to invest a lot to, you know, compete on all fronts. So they have some players ready to come in. I don't think they'll do quite as well next season, unfortunately. I'd really like to see them, and they do have a really good manager. If they manage to get Barnes and Maddison, probably another centre-back and a left-back, and a centre-mid, potentially I can see him retaining the top 4 place. Even if they get in the Champions League next season, even if they're not even in Europe next season, but they get to like a Champions League quarter-final, I hope they stick with Eddie Howe, because he deserves it, man. He's a very good manager, and he's taken him to heights. So I don't think they expected this early on in their new reign. Another bad one. I predicted Manchester United to finish in 7th, and they finished 3rd. Now, in my defence, this was before Casemiro had signed. If he had signed at this point, or I knew he was going to sign, I don't think I would have put him in 7th. I think I would have put him in 6th or even 5th. I don't think I'd have put him in the top 4 still. I just didn't think that they had the quality. And they've proved me wrong, you know, to be fair to him. They have proved me wrong. Rashford has proved to be a very good striker. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens if the Manchester United do sign number 9, because his link-up play, his dribbling, his passing this season, you know, his chance creation has been horrific, I can't lie. But he's been very good at putting the ball in the net. So if he's forced to go back out wide next season, if they sign a striker, we're going to have to see if he can adapt and go back to how he was, like, you know, a few years ago when he was a very good winger, you know, where he was creating more chances, where he was being able to take players on. Because this season, whenever he tries to dribble past anyone, I just see him getting tackled very easily. So, yeah. I think Martinez did better than I thought he would. I wondered if he'd be able to deal with the physicality of the Premier League. He has done. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's come back in and done very, very well. Eriksen, again, he's been very good. So, yeah, you know, Manchester United did better than I expected, and look at that sea of red, man, with one orange in there, but another red's added now because I put West Ham in 6th. Why did I think they'd do so well, man? I'll tell you why. They kept hold of Declan Rice, they kept hold of Jarrod Bowen, who didn't have a very good season by his standards. He was good at the end of the season, to be fair to him, but for the majority of the season he wasn't good. They signed Scamacca, they signed some good players, you know, who I thought would gel, but a lot better. Paqueta especially, you know, he, again, didn't gel until, like, March, April, where he looked insane. After that point, he looked so good. And if he had played like that from the start of the season, if Bowen found his end of season form from the start of the season, West Ham would have finished significantly higher than they did. Obviously, the fact that they've got to a Conference League final is very, very good. And it's a chance for them to finally win a trophy for the first time, like, I think it's 40-something years. So good luck to them. I hope they win it. But yeah, Declan Rice, I'm going to make a video on him as well. He's very, very good, and it looks like he'll be leaving. It'll be interesting to see how West Ham replace him. They could go get James Ward-Prowse off Southampton, a different type of midfielder, but still a very, very good player. And obviously, if they win the Conference League, they'll have Europa League next year again. So we'll have to see what happens with them. But yeah, you know, to be fair to Moyes, he did turn it around, but for a while it looked very bleak at West Ham. Like, it genuinely looked like they could have gone down. And they've done well to you know, survive, and they've actually looked quite comfortable in the end, but it could have been very different. Now in 5th, I put Chelsea, who end up finishing to another. Oh my god, man, these reds though, like, I put 4 or more places wrong as a red prediction, but things, a lot of these aren't even just 4s. A lot of them are like 8s. Man. Like, look how many 8s there are there. Fuck me, man. Again, this prediction is actually not that bad if you compare it to other people's predictions, because most people had them in the top 4. I just didn't think they would do it because they don't have a proper striker. I said going forward they're going to be horrendous, and they were. You know, they could barely score any goals. And Aubameyang just got frozen out straight away. You know, Felix ain't a proper striker. Havertz ain't good enough. Mount was not good at all this year. I really like Mason Mount. I think he's a very good player, but he was not on it this season. He got injured, and as well. So yeah, you know, defensively they weren't too bad. You know, obviously Thiago Silva is still a very good defender, even at 38 years old. I think Koulibaly was good signing. I'm going to be honest, I thought it was awful in a lot of games. He had his moments where he was quite good, but a lot of the time he was horrendous. Cucurella was awful as well. Brighton, I don't 60 mil for him. Fair play, Brighton, man. But they spent so much money and bought one striker in Aubameyang, and then they bought another one in January called Fofana. You know, Davide. I think that's Davide Fofana. He's awful. He's played like 3 matches and they were already done with him. Like, what are you doing, Chelsea, man? And when do you see what happens next season after they've got Pochettino in? They're looking to have a big clear out, which could include Mason Mount and Mateo Kovacic leaving, which I think would be very interesting. Felix has gone back to Atletico Madrid after his loan has ended. It's going to be interesting what happens. In 4th, I went with Arsenal. Finally not a red, man. Jesus. Yeah, I think Arteta's done very well to get him to where they were, you know. Second, it's unfortunate the way their season ended, man. Really unfortunate, because they could have won the title. To be honest, they should have won the title, man. There's some of those games that, you know, 2-0 up against Liverpool away, 2-0 up against West Ham away, throwing those away. Should never have drawn to Southampton at home. They did well to get a point and almost got all 3 in the end, but it should have been much more comfortable. Defensive, I said in that video, they got good options going forward, but I'm a bit worried about the defence. I think they need another centre-back. I said that, and you can go watch it. You know what, I'm going to put a clip in here, man. I'm going to put that clip in it. If you're going to spend that much money, you might as well improve the team. I still think in defence, maybe another centre-back would be good for them. Because as good as Saliba and Gabriel are, Holding isn't good, and Kivior is still young. You know, he did all right when he came in, to be fair. At the end of the day, this Arsenal team is very young. They're only going to learn from this. You know, they've still got the youngest squad in the league. They've got some very good players. They add Declan Rice to this. They add, you know, another centre-back. They add Caicedo to this. This team could go and win the title next year. They'll be in the Champions League as well. They should be able to get decently far, I think. I'm expecting at least quarterfinals for Arsenal. Obviously, Odegaard's been linked away, but he's in talks with a new contract. Same with Saliba. I think there were some individual mistakes that they made that really cost them, you know. For example, against Southampton and stuff, it's just awful. And I think Saka's form sort of petered away at the end of the season. You know, he should have been dropped in a couple of those games where he just wasn't. You know, Nelson looked good. He didn't play a lot. I thought Smith Rowe should have played a bit more at the end of the season as well. But, you know, at the end of the day, again, it's a learning curve for him. Arteta's a young coach. And, you know, he's taken this Arsenal team to different heights. You know, they haven't been this good for a while. And for them to get second, I think, is a testament to his managerial ability, because not many people predict them to even get top 4. So the fact they finished second and in a title race, fair play. Oh God, Tottenham Hotspur. I put them in 3rd. As did a lot of people, by the way. This wasn't just me. Yeah, they looked like they had a good squad, and until March they were in the top 4, and then they just, I don't know what happened, bro. Conte went to the press and said this team's shit, they have a losing mentality, you know, they got to wake up, and he got sacked, and they just didn't recover, man. Like, Harry Kane to get 30 goals in this Tottenham team in the Premier League, what a season he's had, man. What a season. I think he's had a better season than Erling Haaland. You know, to this Tottenham team, Heung-min Son, what were you doing this season, bro? You're nowhere. Kulusevski as well was a shadow of himself last season. The likes of Bissouma, I mean, he didn't play a lot, but you know, I was expecting more from him. The defence was horrific. Lloris, what were you doing, bruv? It's like his fingers got cut off. And Tottenham haven't exactly, you know, shown a bounce back ability here. They haven't even got the director of football sorted yet. They haven't got their manager sorted because they haven't got a director of football sorted. We're already into June, you know. They need to hurry up. Tottenham want to get into Europe next season. They've got to step on the gas, man. They've got to start making these decisions quick, because Arsenal they're ready to make a bid for Declan Rice after West Ham's Conference League final. Manchester United have been linked with a lot of players. You know, Liverpool have been linked with midfielders. They didn't even get in the top 4. We'll get onto them in a minute. So Manchester City should be nailed on for top 4 next season. They'll probably be favourites to the title again. Chelsea should be a lot better next season. They've already got their manager sorted. They're looking to trim down their squad, add quality where it's needed. Tottenham are going to get left behind because Newcastle are looking like Tottenham have to hurry up and sort their shit out. I predicted Manchester City to finish second and Liverpool to win the league. God. Oh my God. What was I thinking? Liverpool have been horrendous this season. They ended the season well, but they were helped heavily by VAR. They were awful for the majority of the season. Without Alisson, they would have been a lot lower before they started their resurgence. Salah came good at the end of the season. I think Gakpo was very good as well when he came in January. He adapted to the league very well. Nunes has been a horrific signing. I don't care what people say, he gets into good position. Doesn't matter if you can't finish him off. Defensively, they've looked very vulnerable. They didn't deserve top 4, to be honest with you, and they didn't get it. And Manchester City, you know, I didn't think Haaland would adapt to the league anywhere near as quick as he did. I thought it'd take him a year. He might get 15 to 20 this season. He got 36. When you've got Kevin De Bruyne feeding you chances, I guess it's not that hard to adapt, to be honest with you. Jack Grealish was a lot better this season. Rodri was fantastic. Gundogan was very good. John Stones, man, wow. And he's looking like one of the best defenders in the world right now. He's not just great defensively, he's looking really good on the ball. His goal against Leicester with left foot outside the box volley, that's insane technique. You know, Kyle Walker as well, pocketing Vinicius Jr. over 2 legs of a champion. I know it's not Premier League, but he's insane, man. He doesn't get enough plaudits, I don't think. Nathan Ake and Manuel Kanji as well, been really good, very versatile. And Ruben Diaz, you know, I haven't even mentioned him in that defence. He's been good. Rico Lewis has been very good. 3 in a row now for Manchester City, 5 in 6 years. They're looking unstoppable, man. Looking unstoppable. So I've tallied up my points. For those that don't know what I mean by that, however many places you get wrong per team, you add them together. I don't know if that even makes sense, but you add them together and you want to get as low a score as possible. So for example, I put it Bournemouth 5 places wrong, so I get 5 points. Brentford, I put it 10 places wrong, so I get 10 points. Obviously the higher the amount of points you get, the worse your predictions were. I got 88 points, which is absolutely horrendous. Last season, I got 64. The year before, I got 66. So, you know, even they weren't great, but they looked fantastic. Look how many reds. I got 13 red predictions here, man. Only got 1 bang on. Now, I'm going to show you my predictions from Christmas, after the World Cup. Because they were a lot better. They still weren't great. I've still got 60 points. And of some of these teams, I can't even believe I predicted that. For example, I don't know why I predicted Leicester to finish 9th after what I'd seen. I think it's because they had got into good form before the World Cup. But as you can see, it was quite a bit better. You know, Leeds, I predicted bang on. Bournemouth and Liverpool. Only a few were just 1 place out. The likes of Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest. But there was still some like the likes of Leicester, the likes of Wolves, the likes of Brentford. You know, God, man, I don't know what happened to me this season. I really stunk it up, man. I still got 60 after the halfway point, man, which is just not great. But next season, I'm getting less than 60. I'm telling you, I'm going to put it 50, 56. Yeah. This is the worst prediction I've ever seen in my life. Look how many reds I got, man. Yeah, thank you for watching. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you soon.